Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt. In this video, we are going to look at vocal tuning effects. Firstly, if you are new to my channel and new to my videos and you like what you see, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. So, vocal tuning effects. Obviously, with vocal tuning, we can do subtle tuning so that we sound realistic, just tuck some notes in, that sort of stuff. But we can also go to those extremes that give us that auto-tune effect, glitchy effects, all that sort of stuff that we hear in a lot of modern music these days. So, I'm going to show you a few little techniques, how to do them in the various vocal tuning plugins and tools that I have already talked about in previous videos. So let's just get into it and have some fun and create some effects. So with these effects, we're going to concentrate ourselves mainly in the offline vocal tuning processes, just because we have a lot more power with those. So the techniques can obviously be used in any one of them. So I'll briefly show you how to do them in each, but I'll cover the concept mainly in the Cubase VariAudio just for simplicity's sake. But as I said, the concepts can be applied to any of the offline ones. So the first one we're going to look at is the classic auto-tunes effect. It comes with various names. It was even referred to as the T-Pain effect at one stage. A famous rapper that decided to use it on a lot of his vocals. Obviously, Cher did this on one of her classic songs at one stage, and it very much popularized auto-tune through the main public. People that had no idea about mixing knew the word auto-tune for a long time. Unfortunately, then it became used for evil, and artists like Britney Spears and various other artists that you could say probably can't sing very well suddenly became famous for using these tools and creating songs that they could not reproduce live at all. So this effect is still commonly used, especially in a lot of EDM and hip-hop rap style music. I'm hoping that it's getting a little bit under control now, but it is still quite extensively used. So how do we do this quite simply? Obviously, as I've shown with the very simple M auto pitch and the basic auto tune EFX and the other auto tune one, they can do it quite simply just by turning up some controls to the extreme range, very fast speeds, very accurate notes, and suddenly you will get that effect. When we look at the offline process ones, we need to do a similar thing, but just take a couple of different tactics here. So with Cubase's VariAudio, so if you want the world, if we look at this section here, the best way to get this effect is to simply do two things. We're going to select the section we want to do, and we're going to quantize it 100%. And then to go even further, I'm going to straighten the notes fully. We get a very flat line on every note. And suddenly we get this. So if you want the world to smile with you, then... Now, because it's quantizing to such an extreme range, you will hear some notes that get obviously out of pitch. So let's quickly fix those. So if you want the world to smile with you, then you get... So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go. So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go. So there we go. quite simple. We can even adjust some notes to go some extreme ranges.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So we can get some interesting effects there if you wish to do that sort of stuff. So that's the simple approach to doing it in Cubase VariAudio. Very simple, and we can be as selective or as broad as we want. We can do an entire thing all together, or we could look at doing only particular sections. And when I say particular sections, it could be 1 or 2 notes. So you could just do it for 2 notes here, for instance.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
And you might decide to say, do these 2 here.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
Okay, that didn't really give the effect there, so it didn't work there, but that's fine. That's all trial and error, no big deal there. So you can see here, it's very simple, but very powerful. So we can do a broad range, cover all these notes, or we could do selective notes here and just play with it. Bit of tweak here and there, and see what we get. Now, if we turn that off, and let's load up Melodyne. So we'll just transfer that section in.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So it should be pretty much a similar result there. So if we select all the notes, and my first step will be to automatically quantize fully, correct the pitch fully, okay that, then we get.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So that's getting closer. But now I want to change the pitch modulation, and we're going for a similar concept here, flatlining it.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
And again, fix up some of these notes.
Go. So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go. Otherwise it's gone. So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So that's Melodyne, very simple. So let's see if we can do the same thing with Waves Tune.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So let's have a look. So we're going to select all the notes again. This time we're going to change our speed, change our note transition. Okay, let's have a listen to that.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go. Otherwise it's gone.
So that's not bad, but let's see if we can get it a bit better.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
Now with this one here, we can also change the note tolerance. So that might add a little a lot more glitchiness to it.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
Or we could go the other way.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
Okay, so with our speed, very fast, our note transition, extremely low there as well, fast. We're getting the flat line look, instant drops there. As I said, we can adjust the note tolerance to get even bigger or less, more notes or less notes with bigger jumps. And we can obviously adjust some of these notes that have gone out of pitch.
So if you want the world to smile with you, so if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go. Otherwise it's gone.
So that's the M-Waves tune. Obviously, again, you can do as little notes as you want or as many notes as you want. Same technique applies. It's a very simple technique, very easy to do. So check that out on the plugin that you have and give it a shot. That one's quite simple. Okay, so another common technique, if you start to get into anything that's especially EDM related, you might be looking at pitching up vocals. So that can be as simple as taking a selection of notes here and moving them up an octave.
So if you want the world to smile with you,
or down.
so if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go. Otherwise it's gone.
So in Cubase VariAudio, that's where our limitations are. So our limitations are moving pitch. We don't have any adjustable formants or anything like that in here. So we're limited to that respect. So unless you want that pitch shift, that this tool is not going to work for you for anything else. But we could look at back into Melodyne here. Let's just undo everything here, but we have our track in there again.
So if you want the world to smile with you.
So whereas VariAudio is limited to just moving the pitch alone, so we can do the same thing in Melodyne.
So if you want the world to smile with you.
Or what we can do in Melodyne is we can adjust the formant by selecting this control here, and we can move the formant. So the pitch will stay the same, but the tone of the vocal changes.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
We can go down.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So this one's obviously better in that regard, because here you can get those classic tones that they use in EDMs, where they modify vocals, keep the pitch the same, but change the tone of it to really mess up the quality of the vocal there. And in Waves Tune, we obviously have the ability to move the pitch.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So again, in Waves Tune, very similar to VariAudio, we don't have that ability to modify the formant. Not that I can find anyway. We have this setting here where we can have the formant corrected or not corrected, but that's not really the same setting. So that just means that if we have it not corrected and we move the notes up.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then
Or if it was corrected.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let.
It attempts to adjust the pitch but keep the formant intact. With it off, it doesn't, and you will get that chipmunk effect, but you've also had to raise the pitch to do it. So Melodyne obviously wins in this regard for that effect there. So another technique we talked about and trick is the ability to stretch and shorten notes. So again, this can give us some great artistic tools here for changing some vocals, and to, especially if you want to do remixes and things like that, you can start chopping bits up and modifying a lot. So
if you want the world to smile with,
let's just pick this note here. So I'm going to chop this note just there for the sake of it. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to play with a couple of things. One is, let's shorten it.
So if you want the world to smile with you. So if you want the world to smile with.
Or you might want to make it longer.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then. So if you want the world to smile with you, then. So if you want the world to smile with you, then. So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go. So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So you can see there I've adjusted the timing of it a lot, and it's not very musical now, but that might be what you need to do. So if you do have any notes that you find are slightly out, you can adjust them, stretch them a tiny bit. I'd only do it if it was only minuscule amounts, though I wouldn't go extremes. But of course, as I said, you might do this for remixing songs and change the sound of it entirely. So now let's have a look at Melodyne. And we have the same ability to do that in here.
So if you want the world to smile with you.
So we've got a timing tool here again. This one here actually gives us the ability to move notes all together. So we could move them around. So it's automatically jumping to note positions there. So
if you want the world to smile with you, then.
But if we hold down the Alt key, we then can move freely as we choose.
So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it. So if you want the world to smile with you, then you gotta let it go.
So again, very simple in Melodyne, so you can have a lot of fun playing with that sort of stuff with there. And then if we have a look at Waves Tune. So in Waves Tune, I'm not really finding any way to do that function. Okay, so they're the most common effects. Obviously, you can have a lot of fun and do a lot of crazy stuff with this, duplicating tracks, tuning tracks, blending them in, creating stereo effects, anything like that. There's endless possibilities with this, but they give you the basic fundamentals of it anyway, and the most common sort of effects that you're going to use vocal tuning on. So there you go. There is some techniques to creating effects in the various vocal tuning plugins and tools. Let me know what you think about them. Is there any techniques that you use that you'd like to suggest to me? Always love to hear new techniques and new little tricks and things to try out myself. So, let me know. Did you find any of them useful or didn't work? I'd love to also get that sort of feedback as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, as I love to help wherever I can. If you found the video useful, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Hopefully the video has been helpful. I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.